Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on YouTube? Diggy546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. Let's go ahead and get into this. Alright, so about maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, probably a little bit less than that, I came to the realization that a lot of Giants fans have come to, but not all of us have come to yet. So you're probably going to be offended by this video if you're on the other side. But I'm pretty much very sure that Daniel Jones is not a guy who's going to carry us to the promised land. I'm convinced that maybe Daniel Jones, if you put everything around him and everything is perfect, he may be able to get you to the playoffs. He may be able to win you some games. He might be able to be an 8 to 10 win team with Daniel Jones. He might be able to even put up decent stats. But I just do not see that it factor. I do not see that team lifting factor that we see from other quarterbacks like Joe Burrow, like even Trevor Lawrence as a rookie, like Justin Herbert, like a ton of these young quarterbacks that started off in horrible situations just like Daniel Jones did, but they still managed to put up numbers. Not even about the numbers, but they still managed to put up production, make up for bad blocking, make up for bad play calling, extend plays, show agility in the pocket, make plays on a regular basis, 4 or 5 plays a game. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray. I can leave Kyler Murray off because he's so talented, and he was almost an MVP candidate. But there's a ton of young quarterbacks like Burrow, like Trevor Lawrence, like Justin Herbert, like even Justin Fields at times, even Jalen Hurts. Not as far as throwing, but you guys get the gist. And I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts is even better than DJ. I think they're probably in the same boat as far as we don't really know what they are. But guys who can make plays when things go wrong, plays on a consistent basis. Because yes, we've seen Daniel Jones make plays when things go wrong, but not consistently. So I need a consistent playmaker, and that's just not what we're getting so far out of DJ. So this is just the video. Quick change of pace video. Probably another video like this will be made closer to the off season. But I just wanted to think about what possible moves, because it seems like DJ's season is over. And it seems like he's going to finish the season with about 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, who knows? Something pitiful like that. He played way too many games to be having 10 touchdowns. Or maybe someone's going to yell at me in the comments and it's going to be 11 or 12. Either way, I just wanted to cover a couple of quarterback names, a couple of directions that I think the Giants can go. I'll try to keep this short. Again, I'm not going to go too in-depth because this is still in season. And I'll probably have to make another video like this in the offseason, depending on if Daniel Jones comes back. But even if he does, he will not have enough time to put enough on tape to really change my mind. So the first quarterback I'm most interested in, I think, will probably be a direction that we could go into, depending on the offensive coordinator we bring in, Jameis Winston. Daniel Jones, I think he is basically a better version of Daniel Jones. He's a guy that continues to be mistake prone, has a ton of weird boneheaded plays, but he also has a bigger arm. He also has a propensity to make plays. 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. We all know it. He turns the ball over a lot, but he slowed it down for the Saints. He also, he's done a lot more. He's put up a lot more production, and he's a guy that you can probably mold into a good quarterback if you get the right offensive mind in here. I think he's probably your best option or your second best option. And speaking of someone who I think, again, is also pretty similar to Daniel Jones, is Marcus Mariota. I think Marcus Mariota is probably a lot more agile than Daniel Jones. But as far as their running style when they get in the open field, they are extremely fast in the open field. They can break away. They both wear number 8. So there's a couple of similarities. Marcus Mariota has never really been a bad quarterback, and he's kind of had a similar career trajectory as Daniel Jones, as far as he was there in Tennessee, and it was year after year after year. He kept getting hurt. He kept on not looking like the worst quarterback in the NFL, but not looking like he's elevating the team. But it seems like he's gotten some more seasoning, and a couple of times I've seen him come in there for the Raiders, And I think it's worth a look to look at Marcus Mariota. I think he could possibly be a good quarterback in this league. And mind you, I wouldn't sign these guys to long-term deals. They will be 1-2 year deals to probably go to look for taking a quarterback the next year, depending on how, Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston played. The next quarterback I would look at, which will be the next rung of quarterbacks, a step below. Cam Newton at this point, I think, is washed. I was a big believer in Cam Newton, but he doesn't seem like he's the guy. Who knows? Maybe the Panthers just stink. But I'm kind of staying away from Cam Newton at this point as far as coming onto my team. But Teddy Bridgewater and Tyrod Taylor are very similar. I think Tyrod Taylor is kind of like the great value Teddy Bridgewater, which is funny because Teddy Bridgewater is pretty much a fringe starter, below average starter. But Bridgewater is a safe quarterback. He's not going to make your team any worse than what it is. Because with Daniel Jones, he can be it seems like the ceiling for him this season is being a guy who can be very steady and very average, even a little bit above average, but not really elevate that team to the next level. But it seems like his lows can be like disastrous. But Teddy Bridgewater is going to be like this all the time. You know what you get from him. He's not going to lose you games. He will make a couple of plays every once in a while. He did that week 1 against us. And I think he's the ultimate bridge quarterback. That's it's in his name. He's the ultimate bridge quarterback. And if we planned on drafting a quarterback in 2023 or even 2024, Teddy Bridgewater is the perfect bridge to that. Same thing goes for Tyrod Taylor. I don't think he's as good as Teddy Bridgewater, but he's athletic. He's a smart quarterback. And he's not going to make your team bad. I mean, he had the Texans looking pretty competitive, and I predicted the Texans to go completely winless. And Tyrod Taylor had them looking pretty solid. So those are 4 quarterbacks that I'm looking at. As far as other guys who are going to be free agents, that's all I'm looking at. Those guys are all going to be free agents. Other than that, you have the option of trading for Aaron Rodgers or trading for Russell Wilson. I'm not necessarily looking to trade for those guys because, first off, I know for a fact that Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson do not want to come to the Giants, because if we trade for them, guess what? We're not using those top 2 picks or, 2 out of the top 3 picks that we have on offensive linemen, because we won't have those picks. Same thing goes for Russell Wilson. We would not have those picks if we trade for Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. We just wouldn't have them. So why would they want to come to this team? It doesn't make sense to bring a quarterback who's been complaining about the offensive line and Russell Wilson to a team with another horrible offensive line. You won't have the money because you'd be paying an astronomical salary to them. You'd have to make more cuts. So you pretty much be bringing them into a worse team than what you see on the field now. And while I agree that they elevate that team a lot, that team that's on the field right now for the Giants is a horrible, horrible squad. So you do not want to have to cut guys from this team and bring in, another guy who's going to take up a bunch of money and not improve that offensive line. That's number one. So I wouldn't recommend that trade. But if it happened in the right way, if we got to keep one of our ones and at least add one offensive lineman, if we had just enough money left to be able to go out and sign somebody else, I would consider it. But I just don't think it's a realistic thing for the Giants to consider, especially if those quarterbacks have to waive the no trade clause. They probably would not want to come to the Giants. Other than that, you have the ability to go out and take a quarterback. Kenny Pickett looks pretty okay. Malik Willis is a really just an unknown. He's someone that played at Liberty, for God's sakes. I mean, we don't know what we have. We don't know what anybody will have in Malik Willis. His ceiling to me is sky high because the dude can run. He's very elusive. He's dynamic, but I don't know what he'd do in the NFL. Liberty to the NFL is a huge jump, and I wouldn't really bet my future on any of these top quarterbacks. I think that this draft needs to be placed. I mean, the emphasis needs to be heavily placed on getting offensive linemen and adding some help to that edge spot. We have got to add help to this offensive and defensive line, especially on the edges, on the defensive line. We need linebacker help. We need a bunch of help on this team, specifically in the trenches, and we have got to use these high picks to help ourselves in the trenches. So I would look at one of these 4 quarterbacks that I brought up: Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, Teddy Bridgewater, Tyrod Taylor, or just stick with Daniel Jones. I don't think Daniel Jones is the worst quarterback in the league. I just don't think he's the answer. But if we stuck with Daniel Jones, I wouldn't think it was the worst thing in the world. We probably will be able to win some games with a better offensive line, but I don't think that he's going to be the guy that's going to win your team a championship. I just don't see that in his future. I'm a big fan of his personally. I want him to do well, but I just don't know if it's here, and I don't know if he's the guy. So you guys can let me know what you think. I'm sure a ton of you probably didn't make it to the end of this video where I said that he was at least solid. But, those are just my thoughts. I don't think he's the guy going forward. So you guys let me know what you think the Giants should do at quarterback. Some people just think we should go ahead and draft a quarterback. I don't see it now. I would do it the following year. But you guys let me know what you think. If you made it this deep into the video, come on, just hit the subscribe button. I make Giants content primarily, draft content secondarily, and during the season, I'm going to be doing a lot of reacting to pretty much most of the NFL games and everything NFL. So if you made it this deep, go ahead and join the D6 squad.